Hi, and I want to go over the syllabus. So here is the first look at the syllabus. If you're in the 130 class, it looks just the same, except we have different ticket number and the time up here, but for the most part, everything's the same. So I just wanted to point out that here's my contact information. Here are my office hours. Many students don't plan on attending office hours, but this would be a class where I would make sure that you have it kind of blocked off just in case you might need it. Stats can be hard, and I'm here for you, and I'm not intimidating. You don't have to come with a good question, but it's good to kind of have these available. Maybe make sure that if it's around test time that you block off your work schedule so you can come see me. I'm just going to save you time, kind of scroll through the information that I think is most relevant to you. This information here for the catalog and our learning outcomes, this is really what helps us sync up with the other courses that are in the UC and the CSU system, which means that if you try to transfer to a different institution, they want you to prove that the stats class you took was a quality stats class. This will be your key, which means when I email you out the syllabus, you will want to save it in your Google Drive or whatever you're going to use forever so that you can show them the actual syllabus you used for this class. They don't want just a sample syllabus. They're going to want the actual syllabus. Now, if you transfer into a school that's in California, likely not to be a problem. But sometimes life happens. You don't realize you're going to end up in Arizona or Utah, and they don't know that my stats class is awesome. And so the way you would prove to an institution that's outside of California that you've taken an awesome stats class and shouldn't have to take it again is by bringing them your actual syllabus. And these are part of the key pieces that make them impressed. So make sure to save your syllabus, and these are the pieces to show them along with our course schedule. Our textbook is free. I've provided selective reading on Canvas. I'll show you where that is. I'm picking and choosing from different books and different sites material that I think suits us well. So the tone of the reading is different for each author, but I'm kind of picking what I like. If you like a printed book, here are two books that I recommend. I really like statistics for people who think they hate statistics. Any edition will do. I have several in my office if you'd like to borrow one. But this book teaches much like I do. So if you find that my language isn't quite speaking to you, then this other book, Statistics Unplugged, again, any edition really, it teaches stats from a totally different language. So it might be helpful to have that one. If you have any stats book at home that meets your needs, a friend took stats and they have Stats for Dummies. Stats is stats. It's not going to really matter which book you use. So I will be testing you on the reading material here, but if you're trying to supplement and learn, you can really use any resource that you have available to you. So this is kind of the key pieces of what make up the course points, which is how you're going to pass the class. So we're going to have 4 exams. I know it feels like a lot, but it helps to break up the material so that you're not having to remember everything. None of my tests are cumulative, so they're each about the pocket of information we've learned for that test. So they are multiple choice, short answer, and 3 of the exams are going to have a take-home portion that you're going to bring to me. So as we get closer to exams, I'll explain what they are, but those are a big piece of the points for this course. We have something that I call homeworks. Now, I do homework a little differently. There are going to be a total of 13 homeworks, but I drop 3. So that means I'm only counting 10. So if you missed a homework because, you were driving on the freeway and got stuck and didn't turn it in on time, or grandma was sick and she was in the hospital, or you didn't pass it, then that might be one of the 3 that we drop. So I don't do any late homeworks under any circumstances because I drop 3. The late, it's hard for me to go in and kind of manipulate the deadlines, and so I decided rather than dealing with that, I don't accept any late homeworks under any circumstances, and we just drop 3. So don't plan on early on using those 3 dropped, because it'd be nice later in the semester if something happens unexpectedly that you have a few homeworks that you can let to be dropped. Now, rather than have students nitpick points on homeworks, my goal for homeworks is for them to be practice, and you're really engaging your mind. And I don't want you to be worried about points as much as kind of learning this process and learning the stats. So the way I've changed the homeworks to encourage that behavior is make them on a pass, no pass basis. So if you get a 60% or higher on the homework, you pass it and you get full credit. So if you get 100%, you get the same number of points as if you get 67%. If you get below 60%, then you fail it and you get no points whatsoever. And that might be one of the ones you dropped, or it might not you might not get points for it. Now, each homework is only worth 6 points. So in the grand scheme of a 500-point course, each particular homework isn't going to really make or break your grade. However, they do add up. So it is good to focus on trying to pass those homework. However, you just have to pass. My goal for you is to practice doing statistics, and how you're going to do that is in this homework situation. So I will show you when we look at Canvas what the homeworks look like. They're called quizzes in Canvas only because Canvas didn't have a homework button. They're not really quizzes, they're homeworks, and you can go in and out of them as many times as you want. Once you submit them, they're mine to grade. But before you submit, you can open it up and close it and open it up and close it and change your answers and all that kind of thing. So it's there to be a practice, and think of it like a homework, even though it's called a quiz. I give you points for coming to class and participating. A lot of the work done for learning this material comes from our conversations. I really do feed off our conversations. So I give you points for kind of engaging in the conversations, participating, giving me feedback. We'll use online polling and other ways for you to kind of participate in the course. You don't necessarily always have to talk out in case you're shy, but just being in the room really gives me a big leg up in teaching you. So I'm trying to get you to come to class, and by doing that, I give you points for coming and thinking and participating. The last piece, and this is something that will come much later in the semester, and I will spend more time talking about it then, but it's something I called a claim critique. And really, I realize that many of you won't use stats again, and I would like to have an assignment to show that even if you don't run statistics on your own things, that you understand how to read other people's statistics or their claims that should have statistics. So this is a thing where you will look at a product. Let's say it's a eyelash like mascara, and it says it's supposed to make your eyelashes 2 times longer. Then I would like you to tell me what kind of statistics you'd need to see to believe their claim that it makes your eyelashes 2 times longer. Now, right now, this probably feels weird because I haven't taught you anything, and so you don't know what statistics are warranted. So this is probably better to be addressed later in the semester. However, most students do quite well if they don't blow it off till the last minute. So as we get closer and closer to this claim critique, we'll talk about it more and more, and it's an opportunity for you to really bump your grade up. So now we have the piece about grading. There's 500 points in this class, so 450 and up give you an A. If you're a student who needs to get an A, you'll just start trying to whittle down those 450 points. So you'll want to kind of keep track of the points you've earned on homework and on tests, and kind of see what you need to get on the other upcoming point earning things so that you can make the grade that you want. Just so you know, if you're considering dropping the course within our drop deadline, if I do not see you or hear from you in quite a while, I may drop you from the class. And primarily that's because I don't want you getting an F in the class. I'd rather you get a W. But I don't want you to rely on me to drop you, because I might think, you know what, they were participating enough. I think they're still engaged in the class. So if you want to drop by one of our deadlines so you can get a W, or just drop the course before the W deadline, you need to make sure that you're aware of those dates and keep that in mind. I will only drop students if I think they've just completely forgotten about the course, and I don't think you should presume to know what I think you know. So if I don't hear from you, I may drop you, but don't rely on me. I'd drop yourself if you're worried about it. So keep an eye, and I'll send out emails or announce to the class when these dates are coming, because I know many students are, I need to get an A in this class, and if it looks like they might not be pulling an A, these deadlines might really matter. So if you have any questions about your prospects for an A, B, C in the class or dropping, just let me know, and we can talk about it. So I have some class policies that I'll kind of quickly go through, and then these will probably come up as we go along. If you have any questions, I really encourage you to email me. You can email me at my Saddleback account, which is at the top of the syllabus, or you can email me from within Canvas. Both of those reach me. Don't expect that I have a fast turnaround, because sometimes I get home and I want to cook dinner and spend time with my kid. So I have students who will sometimes email me and then 2 hours later go, hey, did you get my email? So you should expect to hear from me within 24 hours. And the reason I say that is because sometimes emails come in all at once and I might miss something. So if you haven't heard from me within 24 hours, email me again. That won't hurt my feelings, because I don't want to miss your emails. But if it's only been a few hours, then give me a chance to get to it. But don't worry about hurting my feelings. If you've sent me an email and I haven't replied in 24 hours, then just say, hey, just a bump. Just wanted to remind you that I had asked you this question. If you're worried about attendance, just want you to know I am not upset if you're late to class. I one time was driving through the Saddleback parking lot, and it was kind of near where the apartments are, kind of by Marguerite, and a student was running down the hill and fell and rolled down the hill and popped up and ran off. They were clearly late to class, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to feel bad if that was one of my students. So please don't run down a hill and roll and nearly get hit by a car trying to get to my class on time. You're an adult. I expect that you're trying your hardest to get here. So I'm not going to make a big fuss if you're late. If you have to leave early because you have a doctor's appointment, it's not going to hurt my feelings. If you come early or late, I might mark that on my attendance sheet that way, just so I kind of know what the pattern of behavior is. But I don't want you to worry that it's not going to be a detriment to your grade. I'm not going to penalize you for being late. And the only reason I say this is one time a student used me as an alibi for something, and I wasn't able to verify whether they were late or on time. So now I kind of just document who comes in late if I can. But I don't penalize your grade. This is a class that can be considered one of the more difficult classes. And so it's really important to me that when we're thinking about working together in this class, that if students are asking a lot of questions, it's very important to me that you don't shame them or sigh loudly or get upset that someone keeps asking questions. And actually, I rarely have that be the case in this class. I usually find that people are saying, oh, thank God you asked that question, because I didn't know either and I didn't want to say anything. I am going to encourage you to talk and be receptive to other people talking and asking questions. So I just want to make sure that you understand my class is a very welcome classroom, and I will not shut you down, and I will not let others shut you down. And I also want you to know, though, that online we're going to be the same way, because we do have this one claim critique where we're going to be replying to each other. Or if you're emailing me, I do expect a level of respect for all of us. So just keep that in mind when you're emailing. Don't say something you wouldn't say to your grandma. All right, makeup exams and late assignments. So I don't accept any late homework, but the claim critique or the exams may be something to consider if you have an illness or some kind of documented emergency. So for those things, I would need a documentation or something to show why you couldn't come to the exam or why you couldn't turn the claim critique. So make sure that if you are, say like you have the flu, then make sure you get into a clinic. We have the clinic here on campus, but make sure you get in and they have a note that says, they could not take the test on this day because of the various issue you have. I take cheating very seriously. I think most students in this class are going to work really, really hard for their grade, and so it's not fair if anybody cheats. So I kind of lock down hard on that. If I catch you cheating, I will take it to the full letter of kind of moving forward with our VP of Student Affairs. So let's just not cheat. The way I can eliminate cheating is I let you have a cheat sheet. It's an 8.5 piece of paper. So a full piece of paper, front and back. There's really no rules. You can put anything you want on it. If you and your friend are studying for this class and want to have the same one, that's fine. Just make sure you have your own photocopied cheat sheet so that you're not sharing during the test. But I really have no rules about my cheat sheet. Anything goes. I've had people print the book like really small or my lecture slides really small, whatever works. The only issue that I do have is I don't want you to add flaps because that increases the surface area. So no kind of flaps of additional information. Other than that, anything goes. And I usually find most students don't even need the full 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper front and back, but it's there for you, and you can have it. And then there's no reason to cheat because you've got that little tool. For the take-home pieces of the test, you will be using a program called JASP. And I will expect you to do that on your own. So I will be sending each one of you an individual data set. You will analyze it using this program on your own, and you will print it out and bring me your results before the test. So don't worry, I'll teach you all how to do that, but you won't be able to talk with your friend about how to do it or to work with them. Those are things that are expected to be done on your own. So I love data, so I keep very meticulous notes in our Canvas shell about attendance and points, and I update points within 24 hours of receiving information from you, which means I would love for you to go back into Canvas and make sure that if there's something different that happened, maybe I gave you an extra point because you had a great comment, make sure that gets into the gradebook because I like my grades to be clean by the end of the day. So I will be working hard to keep our grades clean, and I ask for you to kind of check me and make sure I'm getting things done right. If you have any grading that you want me to look at, maybe you didn't agree with how I graded your exam, I am totally amenable to that. I'm open to hear your discussion points. Just make sure we do it within a few days of the assignment being returned to you, because as time passes, I start to forget what it was that we discussed, and your ability to prove to me that you deserve more points is going to get harder and harder. So the moment something comes up and you think there's a grade issue, please bring it up so that we have all of our recollection for what happened. So we're told to ask you to get our permission to record. You are certainly welcome to record my lectures. I just ask that I don't end up on the internet. So that's embarrassing for me. However, if you want to record for your own purposes, that's totally fine. So you have my permission. Students who may have used DSPS or used DSPS currently or in the past, if you've ever used DSPS, this would be a class where you probably want to activate those services. Sometimes students go, I don't really need it anymore. This would be it's a difficult class. So this is a class where if you've ever needed accommodations, we should probably go ahead and get those started. I would love for you to touch base with me ASAP about any accommodations that you might need so that I can make sure that they are met before we get underway too far along. So at least 2 weeks before the first test, so I know if I need to accommodate timing or anything like that. But if you need extra notes or extra time or any of those things, touch base with me as soon as you can so I can make sure we get squared away on that. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We're almost through it. I just these are some links to some things on campus that might be worth checking out. We have a great veteran center. There's 2 gender-neutral bathrooms on campus. I want to make sure you knew where they were. We have lots of free food opportunities. We have a new kind of food pantry. So definitely check out this information so that you know what we have available on campus. For our emergency procedures, I think you know what to do if there's a fire or an earthquake. And then I did want to put this link here. If you see something suspicious, it's something that you think someone should know, but you don't want to report it with your name. This is an anonymous link. This is a link to an anonymous form that goes to our police department. We have our very own police department on campus. And so this will allow you to report anything that you think is suspicious, and you don't have to say your name. But try to give as much information as you can that would help them narrow things down. Like there was one time a student who kept pulling the fire alarm, so they kind of noted what they looked like and where they tended to be, so that helped give them enough information to kind of find this individual. Okay. So now I'm going to go into our Canvas shell and show you where a lot of the material is that we will be using this class there. And I will be primarily lecturing. However, I put my PowerPoints up in Canvas, and the homework are going to be in Canvas. They're going to be submitted via Canvas. lots of kind of materials are going to be available to you there. So I'm going to show you that. However, I just want to quickly show you our course schedule. When you receive this syllabus, these assignments here are linked. So our first homework is due on the 17th. And so if you have your syllabus, you can click on this link here and it'll take you right to the assignment so that you can look at it. But this is, I would say, my rough estimate of the schedule. It's actually pretty good. The only thing that may alter this is if there's like an absence or maybe class gets canceled because of a water main break or something like that. Barring unforeseen circumstances, this is the schedule we're going to stick to. If anything should change, let's say there is a water main break, I will never change the exam days. I've just found that's a major headache. Students plan to study the night before the exam, they adjust their work schedules and that kind of thing. So exam days will always stay the same. It just might be that the material that's covered on the exam might change. But you'll notice we have a few holidays sprinkled throughout, so just keep an eye on those. And so you see here is exam 1. All the material before exam 1 is what's going to be on exam 1. And then after that, this material here, standard scores to sample z-test, is what's going to be on exam 2. So exam 2 does not cover all of the stuff before it, just the stuff from exam 1. Now, that being said, this is kind of a math class. So if I'm trying to, let's say exam 2 is where I'm testing you on division, and exam 1 was testing you on subtraction. Remember, doing long division, you had to subtract. So if you hadn't mastered this material will be hard to do. So it isn't cumulative. I won't ask you any subtraction specific questions, but I'll ask you to divide. So if you didn't do as well as you hoped on exam 1, then make sure you come see me and I'll make sure that the material you were confused on is kind of clear before we move on. Okay, so I know you have a lot of you will get exams right before spring break, and that really sucks because everybody does it. It's kind of like a finals week. I do like to do that because I don't want you to have to hold all this information in your head for 2 weeks. I'd love for you to just break and be on break. So I will be one of those professors who gives you exam right before spring break. So just factor that into your schedule. Okay, now let's see if we can walk through Canvas just a bit. Okay, here's our Canvas shell. Everything you will need in this class is going to be here. If you're not sure of something, come check it out in the Canvas shell or email me and I'll tell you where it is. So the first thing I'd like to point out is the syllabus that we just covered is here. It's downloadable. I think the first thing you should do is save it to some drive that you'll never lose so that you don't have to take stats again in the future. Once you pass this class, you want to be done. The next link here is our course calendar, and everything is linked in our course calendar, so you will know what we covered that day and then the homework that is due. Now, I want to mention that I used to have homeworks due a couple days after the lecture topic, and then it had varying homework deadlines and students would forget them. So I decided my new approach is that every homework is due on a Friday. So most Fridays you'll have a homework due. Now you can turn them in early. So let's say you have a big party to go to on Friday. You can turn it in on Thursday. You'll have all the material you need a few days before it's due. But that way you know if it's a Friday, you might want to check and make sure you don't have a homework due. My deadlines are 7 p.m. That way I can keep an eye on whether there's any glitches happening. So often students think I have midnight deadlines. I do not have midnight deadlines, so just kind of make a note, 7 p.m. deadlines. So you'll see that we have our first homework due this Friday, and we're going to cover the material you'll need for that on Wednesday. Then going into the next week, we don't have class on Monday, but we have this graphs lecture on Wednesday, so then that Friday you'll have homework that's about graphs. Then on Monday, you'll have central tendency, this things like means, and then you'll have the homework due on that Friday for that Monday lecture. Now, there'll be some Fridays where you don't have homework, so that's great, yay. But most Fridays you will have a homework due, and so they're linked here. If you miss a day, sometimes students email me and go, what did we cover today? I love it when you guys say, oh, did we cover anything important? I guarantee you every lecture I give is important. So yes, it was important. But if you're not sure what we covered that day, the lectures are here. We're pretty much going to stay on task. And if something differs, I will send out an announcement saying here's a different plan for today. And then these lectures are available to look at. So you will be able to look at my lecture notes. All of them are there now. I reserve the right to update them. So if you print them, I might make some minor tweaks here and there, but these are my lecture notes as PDFs. And then every now and then a student will ask me, oh, can you explain this again? And so if I do that, I make a YouTube video. I sometimes upload those YouTube videos, and it's essentially just doing the lecture again, some piece of it again, so that students can see it in another way. So all of the lectures that we will be giving are here as a PDF, and some of them have extra content just to supplement if you found something confusing. So you can print those up if you want, or take notes however you see fit. Sometimes we'll be analyzing data in class using this JASP program. And so if you want to bring your laptop, we will have Chromebooks to use on occasion, but if you want to bring your laptop or practice from home, these are the data sets that we will be using in class. So as we use them in class, I'll say, hey, here's where they are. They're also linked in this Google Drive. I'm sharing that with you. So if you're familiar with Google, you can get to this Google Drive and copy the data over into your own drive if you'd like. So as we move forward analyzing data, we'll make use of this link more frequently. Here are the readings that I've hand selected from the internet. They're all free. Some of them I like better than others, so I might update them. So if I do an update, let's say I change one of them like this one, I will write updated and then the date, so you'll know if you read it. Likely you won't read it ahead of me updating it, but I will let you know if I've changed any of these links to find it because I found something better. And because we will be using a software, that's part of the requirements of this class is for me to teach you how to use software. I've provided several guides for how to use that software. So don't be intimidated. I just put a bunch of stuff in here. But it's called JASP, and so there's lots of things we can do in JASP. So I've provided YouTube videos and lots of guides for here's some PDFs for how to get it installed or how to make it work. You don't need to install it on your computer. It's something that can work in the browser. So I will be showing you all how to do that. The program's called JASP, and the reason I use it is because it's free. So those guides are there. So when you get stuck, if you're at home, oh, I can't remember how to do something, remember that this is here. Here's a link to all the homeworks. Again, they were all linked in the course calendar, but they're linked here too in case you wanted to find a quick list of what you're going to have due. And this is the claim critique. It's not due till much later in the semester. If you wanted to look at it, you could, but I actually encourage you to just kind of ignore it for right now. We won't be getting to it for a little bit. I've provided lots of tips for how to be successful on my exams in this folder. So I call them old exam questions. These are questions that I made that I didn't like for whatever reason, or maybe they were about a topic. Maybe I was talking about Justin Bieber, who was a thing when I talked about it, but he's not really a thing anymore, although it might be coming back. So those questions have been removed from exams, but you might as well benefit from having me use those questions. So you can look at these here and practice and then see if you get the answers right. So before any test, I would check out this page in our website just to see if you've got everything down. Here's where you would check out your grades and make sure that I am giving all the points that you think I should be giving you. I do provide extra credit. You can attend 3 events on campus and you get 3 points per event. So that's 9 points extra credit. Those will be linked here in a calendar. And then at the end of the semester, I provide take-home stuff for those of you who are just too busy and couldn't come to campus. So this is the gist of our course let me just open up a homework and show you what that looks like. So this first homework, if you open it up, it says take the quiz, but it's not a quiz. It's just a homework. I just can't make it stop saying that. So I want you to notice a couple different things. One is, see, these are all worth 0 points because I want to make this a pass-fail assignment, and Canvas didn't like that idea. It didn't want to make a pass-fail assignment. So the way I got around it is I said, okay, well, then all the questions are worth no points. And then I added this first question here. And this is an essay question. So Canvas thinks I need to grade this. And so I made this one worth the 6 points that each homework is worth. If you pass the homework, I'll count how many of these you get correct. As long as you get 60% of the multiple choice questions correct, then I will give you 6 points on this open-ended piece. If you don't, then I'll give you 0. So this is how I've made the pass-fail kind of adjustment in Canvas, because Canvas didn't want to really work with me. You can put anything you want here. Often students will tell me, oh, number 1 was confusing, or I need more lessons on this topic, or oh, I'm having a good day, or I just got a puppy. Whatever you want me to know, I read these comments. Every homework I read them, and I will reply to you if it's something, if you say you got a puppy, I might be like, hooray. But if you ask me a specific question, I will direct you to the answer. So definitely come back and look. And the other reason why you want to come back and look is I've given specific feedback to every wrong answer in the homeworks. So if you select something and you swore it was this answer and it was a different one, I will explain to you probably why you thought it was the other answer and why that thinking was wrong. So it is worth going back and looking at your homework and making sure that you understand why you missed it. Now, I'm just going to put some fake answers here. I'm not even reading these, but see how I've marked these, and then I'm going to leave. And it's going to ask, are you sure you want to leave? You didn't submit it. And I go, yeah, I want to leave. So I leave. Now, I could come back the next day, and it's going to say resume quiz. So I want you to know you can open these, and my answers are still saved. So you can adjust these. But once you submit it, once you hit this one, it's mine to grade. So it's now submitted, and you can't submit it again for points. You could submit it again for practice, but this first attempt is what I will score. Now notice it's saying 0 out of 6. I might have gotten some right, but that's because the instructor has not graded this question. So you'll have to wait until I get in there and grade all of it before you see a grade. However, you will see feedback right away after you submit it. So homeworks are really designed for you have practice, and they're not meant to be something intimidating or, your goal is to try to get as many points as possible. It's really just how can this make you think about statistics? All right, I think I've covered everything. Welcome to the class, and I'm sorry I missed you today, and I look forward to meeting you on Wednesday. Bye.